You decide you want more challenge in your life, so you go off and get Elden Ring, and you're having a glorious time. But then you get to Radon, and Radon, with his cute little horsey and swords that are a football field long, and his re-entering from the atmosphere as an asteroid that'll one-shot you, just kills you over and over and over again. Now, you could spend weeks trying to memorize every one of his moves and get the perfect build and just fight him until you figure it out. Is that what you're going to do? No. Chances are you're going to go to YouTube and you're going to get a Radon cheese fight build that you can just get through it. Well, some of you want to be wonderful historians and perfect little writers and write essays that are publishable and you can frame in your wall. But then most of you just want to get past the stupid thing. You want to get a 3 or higher, and you don't really care how you do it. This, ladies and gentlemen, is your video, the DBQ Cheese. So the first thing to cheesing the DBQ on an AP history test, and here it does not matter if you're doing AP World or AP Euro or AP US History, is to really understand the rubric. The first mistake students make is thinking that it's the quality of their essay that matters. That is not how it works. These graders that grade you over the summer are teachers just like the one you have, and all they are doing is checking off 1 through 7 points, these little boxes. Did you do it or did you not? Now the key to the cheese is understanding which one of these boxes are really doable and that you should go for, and which of them are, frankly, you're not going to get it. It's almost impossible. Okay, the first point you can get, the thesis. This one is actually very, very doable. The essay prompt is a question that asks you do something very specific. All you need to do is pretty much say, you've asked me this question, my answer is A and B and C. Sometimes you can have just 2 points, sometimes you can have 4, but a really good rule of thumb is just with all the 7 documents you have, come up with 3 basic answers to the question, and you're going to get the thesis point. The next point you can get, contextualization, also very doable. You just need to set your question in its setting. Talk about events that came before, talk about similar events previously or even in the future in your content. Your evidence points breaks into 3 different points. 2 of these are very gettable. One of them is almost impossible. Let me go into this in a little bit more detail here. Look at this first point. You use the content of 3 out of the 7 documents to address the topic of the prompt. Now what that means is your thesis can be crap. It shouldn't be, but it can be. All you've got to do is use 3 out of the 7 documents that just answers the question in some way, is related to the question even. Unless you're asleep or just don't even take this, write anything in the DBQ, or you just say, I hate my life and I like space aliens and that's it, you're going to get this point. The second point supports your argument with 6 documents. This one is a lot harder. This one you have to use 6 out of the 7 documents to support your argument about the prompt. That means it's got to support your thesis. This one, frankly, most of you aren't going to get. It's okay, you can go for it, but most of you aren't going to get it. And then the third point, evidence beyond the documents. You need to have one piece of evidence that is not in the documents that relates to your thesis, your argument about the prompt. This one is very gettable. This one you can get here, and a lot of students do. This is where I'd put a lot of your effort here. All right, let's look at these last 2 quickly. Analysis and reasoning, 2 possible points. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to get either of these points. I'm telling you right now, it's just not going to happen. This first one is very difficult. You're basically explaining not what it says in the documents, but why it says it that way. It's just very unlikely that it's going to happen. The next point I call the God point because it's even less likely to happen. This is like you really could send this off to a magazine and get it published. It's so good. And it's not even clear what exactly you need to do to get it. So it's very, very unlikely. Now, some of you are probably thinking, whoa, this doesn't sound right. It's 7 points. I bet I can get 7 points. And, you're only showing me that I could really realistically get 4. This right here is an analysis of how last year's DBQ went, the 2021 DBQ. This is, by the way, the world history question, the European history question, and the U.S. history question. They all have the exact same rubric. They all work the same way. So let's see how many people got the thesis. 79% in world, 80% in European, and 79% in U.S. The thesis is a very gettable point. Don't misread the question. Write out some answer that answers what's there in like 3 different ways. You're going to get the thesis point. Now, the contextualization. This one can be a little trickier, but there's lots of videos. I really recommend Heimler's history videos that go into how to get the contextualization point. Last year, world history students messed up. Only 1/3 of them got the contextualization. But in European and U.S. history, look at that, half of the European and U.S. history points got the contextualization. Okay, this next one, the evidence category. This is the one where you've got 3 possible points that you can get. Look at how many people got all 3 points. Just 11%. But that's because they almost all missed the third point that's the most difficult, the one that you've got to use 6 out of 7. Look at it backwards. Look how many of them got just 1 point, okay? You know that the first point you get in this evidence is going to be using 3 out of the 7 documents. Well, you've got 40% that earned 1 point there, 27% that earned 1 point right there, and 40% that earned 1 point on the U.S. history. But it's better than that because all of the people that earned 2 points, you know that they got that first point too. In fact, the ones that earned 3 evidence points, they all got that first evidence point. Used 3 out of the 7. So how many people got the first evidence point? Well, it's pretty much everybody that didn't get 0. So 92% of the people got that first evidence point. Used 3 out of the 7 documents to support the prompt. In European history, 93%. In U.S. history, 93%. You're going to get that first evidence point. Now, what's the second evidence point you get? Is it going to be using all 6 out of 7 to support your thesis? Or is it going to be the outside evidence? All you need for outside evidence is just one piece of information. One event, one person, one date, one bill of legislation, whatever that's not in the documents and that ties into your thesis, relates in some way to your thesis. That's all you need for the outside evidence. That's going to be the number 2 point. That's the one that people are going to get. So it's going to be everyone that didn't get 0 points or 3 points. It's going to be pretty much all of these people right here that earned either 1 point or 2 point. That's 81%. In European history, it is 68% got the 2 points out of the evidence category. In U.S. history, look at that, it is 77%. Now, that's why I say that third point, the one where you're getting 6 out of 7 documents and you're relating it to the thesis, that's the one that only 11% got, 25% in Euro, and 16% in US. It's doable, but it's tough. It's a stretch. Okay, so now we've got 4 points. You've got your thesis is 1, contextualization is 2, 3 out of the 7 documents is 3, and then outside evidence is 4. 4 out of the 7 points. What about the analysis and reasoning point? Out of the 2, the God point is probably harder, but that what's called the cap point, where you're getting the motivation behind the writing, is really, really tough. Look at that. Only 15% in world got that point, and only 2% got the God point. In European history, 25% got the cap point, and only 5% got the God point. In U.S. history, 29% got the cap point, and only 5% got the God point. You're just not going to get them. It ain't going to happen. Statistically, the vast majority of you aren't going to get them. You can get those 4 points, however. So let me just add one more thing. Do you think you need more than 4 out of 7 points? That's terrible. I mean, 4 out of 7? Shoot, that's a 57%. That can't be good, right? Let's look at the average world history DBQ score in 2021. 2.7, and this is normal. Most people do not get above 3. The average scores year after year after year in world, in European, and in US typically is in the high 2s or low 3s. If you get a 4 on your DBQ and get a 4 on your LEQ, you are golden. You will get a 3 or higher. You'll probably get a 4, maybe even a 5. You will be in great shape. So in the next video, let me show you how I recommend you do that.